Angela and Missouri Senator Mike Moon did a presentation on something that we all need to know about, data centers. We have to be proactive. According to a new national poll by Heatmap Pro, 71% of Americans now oppose data centers. This resistance crosses political, geographic, and generational boundaries. Opposition voiced by 80% of young adults, nearly 80% of Democrats, and roughly 2/3 of Republicans. What Angela was saying tonight, watch, listen, look around you. We've got to stand up. Be like the watchers on the wall, spoken about in Isaiah 62:6. God said through the prophet Isaiah, "On your walls, O Jerusalem, I have set watchmen all the day and all the night, and they shall never be silent." We're not being silent. This is something you need to know.
Yes, we need the data centers. We won't be sacrificing our water.
They can go ahead and let us be a part of the profit, too.
Pass this video on to others. Join a Patriot group. It's not just Missouri. Go to your commissioners. Tell them, have you heard about this? Welcome, everyone, to the Patriot Project on Mugwump Media. Kevin, how's things going today?
Well, do you really want to know, or are you just asking to be
Just being polite.
and include me?
Well, I guess I want to know.
Well, we don't have time for that. You know, we got somebody important here. We got Miss Angela here, and I'd
Yes,
really
we
rather
do.
hear what she has to say than go about
Absolutely.
telling my woes and
Folks, thanks for
trials.
joining us for this great interview with our friend Angela. Now, Ms. Angela Romine is a candidate for the Missouri House of Representatives for District 140, a great one too, folks. She's awesome. A few weeks ago, Angela and Missouri Senator Mike Moon did an excellent joint presentation on something that we all need to know about, data centers. And they actually did it at a local community meeting. They call it Patriot Pizza, right? But anyway, it was awesome. And folks, let me tell you, if you live here in the beautiful Missouri Ozarks with the woods, the hills, the hollers, the pastures, the meadows, the rivers, if you live here and you either don't know what these things are or you do know what they are, but you think that only people that live in the cities have to deal with them, I'm telling you, you probably need to think again on that one. These things are everywhere, and they are popping up all over the United States. I think at this point, Kevin, 48 states, we've got citizens, they are reporting about this stuff, and there are 48 states that they are either built in or are building in or are proposing in. So there's lots of them at this point. Miss Angela.
Yes.
Help us to become more familiar with what's going on with the data center boom that is happening right now across the nation.
Well, like we started with the presentation, is love them or hate them, they're coming into existing. There's no stopping it. There are good data centers and there are bad data centers. I think the most concern are the bigger ones, but we've had data centers for a very, very long time, like your credit card information, all the stuff that we do online, the marketing, everything is data, and it's been stored in places. So, and there's different sizes of data centers. So you have like the micro, the small, medium, large, and the humongous ones. So, but yeah, they're coming regardless of whether you like them or not.
Yeah.
And the reason being is we are in a tech race against China with the data and AI coming along.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, some of these are like acres.
Yes.
Acres, huge. They're like little towns. And basically, they've got all these servers for big companies. Now, some of them, you'll only have one company, but some of them are multiple companies. Is that true?
Yes. So
yes.
And that's the other thing. You have not just the sizes, but you have small corporations, a business, your American Express card, things like that, Google, Meta, they all have their data centers already. They just need to be growing them a little bit more. And again, AI needs a lot of data to be able to be stored. So that's really where I think the race is for the data centers for the AI.
Yes, yes. And as we were talking about, where are they being built? Not necessarily in the cities, right?
Correct. So they're looking currently in Missouri anyway, from the looks of it, is they're looking for counties that do not have planning and zoning because
Yes.
they don't have to really worry about asking permission and
Yes.
having something rezoned to that use. So I know Webster County right now is one of the ones suffering because of that. And unfortunately, even if they try to correct it now, there's already a data center that's been going to have to be grandfathered in because, again, they didn't have a planning and zoning and they were given the green light.
Because they didn't know.
Correct.
Yeah, probably their commissioners. And it's good that people are talking about this now. There's a lot of talking going on about this now. So this is going to be in small places too, small towns, places that are vulnerable because they may not have commissioners that know what's going on. They may not have planning and zoning, as you just heard Angela say. So let me ask you this, Miss Angela.
Yes.
When these folks light somewhere, whenever they get the green light, they get everything signed, dotted, I's dotted, T's crossed, and they are building these things, what do they take from the land? What do they take from the citizens? What is it that is so harmful with these data centers?
Well, really, it's the resources. Data centers need a lot of water, a lot of power, a lot of infrastructure. And so all of that so far has been landing on either the customers of like the utility companies or taxpayers with the subsidies and things like that. So that's really the cost. And then the health side of things too, because you are starting to hear some people that maybe not hear a hum, but are affected, and even their livestock are affected with the sound or the vibrations of the data center. So it is a big toll on each citizen.
Well, and we were watching a video last night. That's the one that I came in and Kevin was watching it. But you could see the heat signature. Like whenever you look at special photography and it shows the heat signature, and this one was natural gas, I think, remember? Mm-hmm. And it was burning. And there was like it was huge. There was all these towers. And you could see the heat signature coming up. And they were talking about how all the dust and all the ash and all the stuff that was all over everything.
Right, because that's the other thing, right? Pollution. So
Mm-hmm.
The cooling things for the data centers has a leftover. Mm-hmm. It's not just pure water that comes out. Yeah. So is that going back into our drinking water or, our farming water and our rivers and lakes and all that stuff? And we're called to be good stewards of what God has given us, and those are our resources.
Absolutely.
I mean, we can't survive without water or food. So
You bet.
It has to be dealt with.
Exactly.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Something else too. What is QIP?
QIP. So back in 1976, through initiative petition, actually, we stopped QIP. Mm-hmm. What is QIP? So QIP is construction work in progress. So from 1976, when we passed the protection of construction work in progress, before that, we were paying for utilities to build their infrastructure or grow the grid before we even got the electricity out of the process. So we were paying beforehand. And so this initiative petition stopped that. So we were protected as consumers to not have to pay the utility companies for their improvements and their growth, which I think is fair because I actually wrote this down real quick. In South Carolina, I think it happened in 2017 when they finally closed, but a utility company grabbed $2 billion upfront from its customers, and the building project never went forward.
Yes.
So they shut it down. The customers paid $2 billion, and they never saw any energy increase or any benefit from that development. And that's why QIP is not a good thing. And last year, with a utility bill that passed, the QIP was lifted. Or the protection for QIP was lifted. So now it can go to the consumers. The utilities can charge us extra, and some people rates were already going high. They're just going to keep climbing because now utility companies have been afforded that to be able to charge people before they even finish the project.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Which can lead to corruption as we see here in South Carolina.
Well,
absolutely.
That's bad business.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
That's business 101. You don't pay for something before you've got it established that you're going to receive it.
Exactly.
Well, and as a side note, coal, what is it that Trump calls it? Clean, beautiful coal, something like that, it really is a whole lot cleaner than it used to be, and it was getting even better. But then the Obama administration and Biden administration basically killed it. Talking about electricity, kind of on a side note, this was something that I found about 3 weeks ago, and I actually set it aside because this is crazy. This is going to be an election thing over the next couple of cycles, I think, folks, with all the electric bills going up. This was an article from the Epoch Times. Electric bills could be a 2026 election shocker. Americans are paying more for power while financing long overdue expansions and upgrades to the nation's grid, and they're not happy about it. Why are we expanding the nation's grid? Because we're going to need a whole lot more electricity. As a matter of fact, a lot of supply and demand. Here's what it says. This surge is driven by the development of power-hungry data centers, artificial intelligence computing, advanced manufacturing, yada, yada, yada. And it's eating electricity a lot, all of it. The solution is simple. The nation's 7 major grid operators must add up to 7,500 miles a year to their 240,000-mile network of high-voltage transmission lines, while also upgrading up to 100,000 miles of those live wires through 2035. Crazy. And again, data centers are going to be big issues for voters in many states. 84% believe that electricity bills were among the primary concerns cited respondents in a January climate power survey. People are not happy with their electric bills. They're just not.
No, they're not.
No.
Well, and, the renewable energy also, so we're starting from behind the curve, right? We used to have coal plants, and that really was more energy efficient than we are now. So we're starting in a deficit.
Absolutely. The Biden and the Obama administration, just basically blew it all up.
Can I
Crazy.
add to that real quick? So
Sure.
1 gigawatt, and I think somebody had mentioned when we talked prior to the show about needing 3 gigawatts of power. So 1 gigawatt is capable of supplying roughly 700 to 750,000 homes. So just to give you an idea how much power they're needing. And that's one of the things too that I did in my presentation is Ameren in Missouri already signed a contract, a construction contract for 2 something gigawatts. So that just goes to show you how much energy they're going to be using.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I just heard last week, and I didn't look into it because I had other things going on, but I heard that our governor, Mr. Kehoe, Spendthrift Kehoe, that he has actually signed some kind of a deal with Google, too.
Yes. So that's something that really bothers me more than anything else is the people that are paying for it are the customers, the consumers, and the taxpayers, which is us, right?
Right.
With giving subsidies to these corporations to bring business here, that's government involvement. And so it takes away from the free and fair market. So people think that we're operating under a free market society, but we're actually operating under cronyism because government comes in and says, you can have money, you can't have money, you can have a tax break, you can't have a tax break. And really when we give not really tax breaks, but when we're giving subsidies and incentives to these corporations to come here, that is our taxpayer dollars. And we don't give the same to small businesses like your own, right? And so, again, it needs to be fair, and these businesses need to be able to have their monies pay for their own infrastructure and their own needs and not have it land on the backs of the citizens.
Oh, absolutely.
Just to boil it down and put it simple, they're asking people to invest in something without having a choice.
Correct. Well, again, you can invest,
It's a monopoly.
but you can invest and get dividends, right?
Right.
That you're investing and you're getting the short end of the stick.
And the investment that you make as a citizen, you don't get to share in the profits.
Correct.
What they tell us is we'll be able to use it,
Correct.
and we'll have to pay to use it.
Yes.
So that just it makes no logical sense
Correct.
for that to the citizens. That is not free capital. It's not free enterprise.
It's not free enterprise.
No.
Correct.
And people know. People are really waking up, and they know data center development is the lightning rod of all this heartburn that everybody is feeling from state to state to state. Like I said, it's going to be a big issue. That's what this article said for voters in many states. According to a January Pew Research Center poll of 8,512 adults, nearly 40% blamed data centers. They're blaming them specifically for higher utility bills. In February, a Politico national survey of 2,000 voters found nearly half see energy costs spurred by data centers as a top issue in congressional, state, and local elections. This is going all the way up to elections here in the next few years, I believe. Erin Brockovich is even getting in on it. If you guys remember her, she was and I don't know what her politics are. I suspect she's liberal, but you never know. She's an environmental lady, a lawyer, and she uncovered some incidents, some issues where people were getting sick and having cancer and everything. She really blew the lid off of it. Well, now she's getting involved in this. The May 27th issue of the Brockovich report, you know what she said? This is interesting. She said, if data centers are so great, why are they being built in secret?
Yep.
And that's the truth. They have non-disclosure. They hide out. They don't want citizens, because all these citizens are starting to wake up and basically mobbing community centers with signs saying, no, you're not going to take my water. You're not going to spike my electricity.
Well, and
that's true.
I think the other thing with transparency is when you start looking at the people, the companies that are buying these properties to build data centers, there's layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. So it may be, XYZ LLC, and then come to find out, first of all, to find the information, you have to dig and dig and dig, and everything is redacted. And this one particular company or Facebook video that I saw did everything they could to try to find who these companies were really and initially. And so XYZ LLC actually was Google or Meta. And so they're hiding behind all these layers so you don't know who is building these companies or these data centers. And so, the lack of transparency and like you said, the secrecy is just kind of already should give you red flags.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
I saw an interview of, I guess I'd say it a country cousin, but anyway, they always pick the guy that's outside of the trailer house, but they asked him what he thought about it, and his response was, well, anytime I hear the term billionaires and there's something going on about it, he said, I know the billionaires are about to make a bunch of money and I'm not.
Yeah.
That's just kind of simple put, but it's
well, what you before we started videoing, you talked about the timber barons coming through the state of Missouri.
It's the old Western story. There's a lot of timber and they need it for the railroads. They need the ties, so the timber companies and the railroad companies get together. And well, in the past they'd go in and they'd condemn people's places. They'd go in, they'd take it, and they'd go ahead and they'd get the rights to get the railroad in, and then they start logging the timber off. And just as quick as the timber's gone, they are too.
They're gone.
Nothing but stumps and
no replanting.
No
cleaning up behind themselves.
And I think that's the other thing that really breaks my heart too. I know that you and I have had conversations before where I jokingly say I'm don't like dirt, don't like bugs, but God has put something in my heart recently where I'm following a lot of restorative farming people, and just to see the farmlands disappearing to these data centers, it just really, really breaks my heart, because what my husband and I want to do more than anything else is to be able to buy property, even if it's a small micro farm, but to be able to heal some of the land and be part of that, like, God's creation, and work it and heal it. And it's just, I don't know, it sounds very rewarding, a lot of hard work, but it sounds very rewarding to me. But that's really what makes me the most, I think it breaks my heart the most, is the farmlands.
Well, and that's something you hear
You're
all the time.
such a Maha gal.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Yes.
I just love it.
Well, and it's biblical.
And very compassionate. You're very
Yes.
sweet.
Yeah, it's
Thank you.
biblical too, because when Adam and Eve kind of fell out of God's favor because they'd made some bad decisions, the one thing He gave them was a way to take care of themselves, and it was to work the land.
To work the land.
And so that's kind of innate and ingrained in us. That's kind of how we keep in touch with our Heavenly Father.
I like that idea.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
So here's what, because we've kind of covered a lot of this. So here's what people are probably thinking. Well, heck, can't we just say no to them? And what you said is very true. Mm-hmm. They're coming. I remember that night, that's what Mike Moon said. He said, folks, they're coming.
Yep.
They're coming. So what you have to figure out is how to force them to be good neighbors.
Yes.
You force them we're here first, right? We're the citizens. We're the one footing the bills for all of their little tax gifts that they're getting.
Yes.
And so we have rights because we're here. And so I guess that's what I would ask you next. We know that change is coming. So there are some people in Missouri that are looking at it. They're thinking, okay, we're going to have something structured to protect ourselves. We're going to have to go talk to our commissioners and let them know what's going on. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so at the presentation, what we talked about was, and to be fair, the slideshow was not my slideshow. It was lent to me.
Yes.
The person that created the slideshow did very, very well with covering everything. So kudos to her.
Yes.
But what they have done, where the slideshow came from, was Camden County, and they started trying to address every single thing, and their commissioners actually stepped forward to create this rails or protective things for the data centers, and they had attorneys involved also, so they can make sure that they're covering everything that they could think of. And what I think is that this conversation is really important, because we need to be proactive and not reactive. Because when we wait to be reactive, then we get what we've gotten with like the solar farms and the windmills. They started coming in, and we did nothing to stop or to mitigate the problems that they were creating. And so that's with having this template from Camden County, is at least a path to figuring out what they saw as issues. And I think even at that meeting, you guys brought something up that you had an issue with that they didn't see. And so having shared information and conversations openly with other counties that are in the same position is going to be very, very helpful. And the more people that we get involved in the conversation, the better, because we're going to miss things. And when we have people thinking outside the box, whether you want to say it's conspiracy theories or it will never happen or that's just way out there, I don't like to discount conversations and opinions, because they might see something that I didn't see, and we can validate whether or not that is a true issue or not. And that's, to me, that's beside the point, but actually listening to the information that's being presented, not just immediately discounting it, because I think you lose valuable information in those conversations. So, some of the things that they have said is that they have to be self-sufficient. They as far as the power is concerned, they cannot use their aquifers. And I like the plan that they have in place too, because it puts the load back onto the data center. If we're paying for their infrastructure and their utilities and all these other improvements that they need, then they're not going to care about saving the taxpayer dollars. They're just going to take. But if you tell them you have to be self-sufficient, you have to have your own power in your own data centers, they're going to come up with solutions so it'll be less expensive and it'll be faster coming to those innovations that we need in order for them to be sustaining. So I think overall it would be more of a balanced thing to have it more on the data center's responsibility, so that they can create and be innovative in finding those solutions.
Something as simple as leasing an apartment, you have to sign a lease, you have to sign your paper, and you have to put down a deposit, and there's expectations. And when you're there, if you start doing things that weren't agreed on or that you were told you couldn't, then you have to leave.
Correct.
We need to be good stewards,
Neighbors,
good
exactly.
landlords.
Yeah.
This is our neighborhood, and the way the neighborhood goes depends on what we do. We're the leaders.
Correct. And the awesome thing too is that they have permits. So that's the whole thing, right? They're listing the things of requirements that they're have to do in order to receive a permit.
Yeah.
And the permit can be revoked. And then there's fines too for however long it takes them to mitigate that. So again, it motivates them to come up with a solution quickly instead of letting it bleed into our ecosystem and our water or drain us or whatever. And so I really liked the template that they have. And so having those conversations with our commissioners, like, what is the plan? Well, what do you see? Are you for these or against these? Or how are you going to protect your citizens in this county? Those are very, very important questions. So if anybody wants to look at the template that was given to me on the slides, I'm happy to meet with anybody.
Yes.
And again, the more conversations we have with other counties and other people, the better, because you guys pointed out the issue. What was that? That
basically you can't, not only do they need to have a closed loop water system, they need to
Correct.
bring their own water, they need to bring their own electric source. They can afford it. They're very rich, these companies. But the other thing was all this sludge that comes off of the warm water and the cleaning and the going over and over through their, over their machines and stuff. You're going to get this nasty sludge, and you can't just dump it into the ground. You have to put it in something, seal it, and get it out of here. We don't want your sludge. We want you to use your own electricity and your own water. So those things, to me, those three things, and noise. There may be
Yes.
something that needs to be done about the noise too, because people say it's just crazy how
and
loud they
that
are.
template has, like, depending on, and the other thing I liked about the template is that it even had, depending on the different size of data centers. So the small data centers didn't have to be so far away from homes, and the bigger data centers had to be so far away from homes and stuff like that. So it was very, very interesting. But speaking about water, I forgot to mention this earlier, that we also had a water bill the same last year with the utility bill. And the reason the water bill was not a good idea, it's supposed to save our Missouri waters, but what they have done, and you can read it, but they've defined what a person is. And in that definition includes things like partnerships, corporation forms, firms, companies, and so on and so forth. There's a whole lot of lists of entities that are considered persons. And the reason that matters is because to save our waters, you can't just ship out water from Missouri. A person has to apply for a permit. So it's not just a you and I person, it's a corporation or a partnership that can apply for these permits to transport water out of Missouri. So again, that's also for the data centers, because I think they're trying to take our water into other states to help with the data center water
Of course
needs.
they are, because we have more. Something else, too, that I just thought of a few minutes ago, if you put up guardrails and you've got strong commissioners that are going to force them to do it, let's just say we may not be low-hanging fruit.
Exactly.
And you might actually make them go on somewhere else that is going to be, which I hate that for other counties, but sometimes you take care of your home and do what you need to do and hope that others will do the same thing.
And a positive stand, it would be good we need data centers. I think everybody agrees on
Correct.
that, the way things are going. But since we need them, I think everybody'd agree, let's do it right. Let's
Correct.
not
Yeah,
do it to where
absolutely.
it's an issue, where it's a problem. There is a right way to do it, and we just need to find that, and we need to be involved in everything from before they start all the way through to managing that afterwards.
Correct. Because, I mean, like I said, our phones are miniature data centers. They hold all our information, right?
Yeah.
So data centers are definitely important, and they have their place. And that's why I say no matter what, they're coming, whether you like it or not. So let's be prepared.
Yes.
Let's do all we can to mitigate the problems that they may come with. And I think both parties will be happy. The citizens will be happy because yes, we need the data centers, but we won't be sacrificing our waters, and we won't be paying for the utilities or the infrastructure. And the data centers will be happy because they get to build the data centers that they need. And again, it's going to spur innovation. And when you have spurred innovation, the economy grows, because you're going to need those people to do the stuff that needs to happen for those innovations to happen.
And let us choose to invest by buying stocks and stuff.
Exactly.
If it's as good as they're saying, then, well, you know what? They can go ahead and let us be a part of the profit too.
Another data center, sorry, I just thought of it, are medical records.
Yes.
Right? So the data centers aren't all horrible, evil things.
No.
Now, just like anything else, technology has its place and can be used for good and could be used for not nefarious things. So that doesn't excuse all the data centers saying all the data centers are good, but there are needs for data centers for sure.
Well, you just took me back to my first introduction to technology, and it was a VCR. And I never did figure it out. What I did is I'm the guy that got the black electrical tape to cover the light because it bothered me. I couldn't sleep with that red light in the room.
Yeah.
I've come a little further than that. I'm not, well, I don't know. I think I still probably couldn't. You better move on. You better take charge of this, Wanetta.
Yeah. The whole point of this, folks, is we're not alone.
No.
You know, so many people, we watched that video last night, and they were just kind of sitting there on their front porch looking at this horrible data center saying, well, I guess this is the way it is. We have to be proactive. We really do. And I'm not going to go through this whole thing because we're running out of time, but according to a new national poll by Heatmap Pro, 71% of Americans now oppose data centers, especially if one is built near their homes. This is a staggering 49-point swing in public opposition from just 9 months ago. And this is interesting, too. This resistance crosses political, geographic, and generational boundaries. It's not just conservatives. It is opposition voiced by 80% of young adults, the kids, age 18 to 34, nearly 80% of Democrats, and roughly 2/3 of Republicans. And these dissenters have started to take action. And what does that action mean? What Angela was saying tonight, what we've been talking about: watch, listen, look around you. Again, we're not alone, but we've got to stand up. I love the scripture, be like the watchers on the wall, spoken about in Isaiah 62:6. God said through the prophet Isaiah, on your walls, O Jerusalem, I have set watchmen all the day and all the night, and they shall never be silent. We're not being silent. We're out here on a podcast telling you all about this. If you don't know about it, this is something you need to know. And whatever county you're in, whatever state you're in, it's not just Missouri. Go to your commissioners. Tell them, have you heard about this? Send them the podcast or look up. There's lots of stuff. Like I said, Aaron Brockovich is even in on it now. You know it's hit the big time. So just look around you, contact your commissioners, pass this video on to others, join a Patriot group of other watchers. They're everywhere. Be good stewards of the land, as Angela was saying. The community that we're placed in and the families that God has blessed us with, for sure. Do you guys have anything else to add before we sign off?
Just the people that own the land, the farmers, the people that live on land, they're the experts. You know what? When you live on something and you're personally invested in it, you pretty well know.
We're responsible for it.
We're the experts.
We're responsible for our neighbors.
Yep.
Well, thanks for joining us this evening, folks. Thanks for joining us, Miss Angela. Always good to talk to you.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Keep the information flowing. This is important. And we'll be back again soon with more news, more conversation, hopefully more encouragement to always keep you informed, inspired. And folks, please always stay independent. God bless.